Welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Daily Podcast of Kung Fu, brought to you by The Villains Man, where myself, Justin Raymer, traverses the world of Marvel's most prolific martial artist, and Iron Fist, Shang-Chi, and the White Tiger. If you want to keep up with the podcast, please do so over on social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. If you want to keep myself, Justin Raymer, you can do so over on Twitter, X, Threads, and Blue Sky. Today on the podcast, we are opening the pages to the book of the Iron Fist yet once again, starting in the very first 3 pages of the legendary and legacy-changing Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker run, The Immortal Iron Fist, as we are going to cover the brief history of the very first Iron Fist we see in this series, Bei-Ming Tian. Sadly enough, there's not a lot about this Iron Fist, which upsets me because of what I kind of took from this book years ago, and I'll get to that later on. I think this is the Iron Fist that needs to be fleshed out. Hell, when I think about it, he is the only Iron Fist not really fleshed out throughout this entire series, and that's kind of sad. We'll get to that here in a little while. Let's go ahead and dive into the creators for this story. This 3-part story takes place in the beginning of the last Iron Fist story, which is issue 1 of Immortal Iron Fist. Your script writers are Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction. Pencils go to Travel Foreman. Inks go to Derek Friedhoffs. Colors go to Matt Hollingsworth. And your letters go to Dave Lanfear. A small group of simple farmers look on as the sounds of a charging army echo throughout the base of the Kun-Lun Mountains. Walking through them, with a rice hat on and green garbs outlined in gold, is a man who is undeterred and fearless. In disbelief, the farmers watch on as he walks alone towards the Mongols. As their leader orders them to charge, he takes a defensive stance. As they grow nearer, he throws his fist up in defense, and as his shirt falls away to reveal the branding of Shao-Lao the Undying, he smiles as his fist glows with chi. This is the introduction to Bei-Ming Tian, the very first Iron Fist we see, an Immortal Iron Fist. Sadly enough, in this entire series, unlike Orson Randall, the main Golden Age Iron Fist that we see, or someone like Wu Ao-Shi, we don't really get to see this character develop during this entire run, which is tragic, because every other Iron Fist in this series that is mentioned, we have some type of developed story for them outside of maybe Jun Fan that I can think of. I can't think of any other one off the top of my head, but hey, Jun Fan kind of got a alternate version of him in What If, so technically he's in the MCU, so I guess that works out to his favor. But it is unfortunate that we don't get anything about him throughout his history. Now, I could have missed an issue. It's quite possible, but I don't think I did. I do some pretty thorough research, and much like the Wu Ao-Shi episode I've covered, I did cover an issue that some people weren't aware that ties to some of the Immortal Iron Fist, because when Matt Fraction left this book and he went on to do Invincible Iron Man, I'm a longtime Iron Man fan, so I was already reading that. I was quite pleasantly surprised to see that we see a glimpse of how this fight ends. So the Mandarin has kidnapped this director after watching Ping Hai Bei, which is the story of Wu Ao-Shi that he had won this award for. The Mandarin, who's a huge fan of him, wants him to direct a story of his life. And as I go on, the director asks him, I've been jotting down notes, ideas, thoughts about China, about the revolution, about everything, I guess. But I suppose we should start at the start. When were you born? Where? Tell me about your parents, idiot. Do you know nothing? I'm a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. I had no idea. How does one know that? Within my blood is the Khan, that warrior, that leader. I am he. He is me. And then we get this image of all these Mongols and their horses destroyed, decimated, lying dead in heaps. In the background, we get these simple farmers cheering on Bei-Ming Tian as he's leaping towards Genghis Khan. His fist is yellow hot with chi, and he's punched it straight through his chest while he's on horseback. And this is the death of Genghis Khan. Mandra goes on, he, beloved, honored, venerated, he who unified all of China, who conquered dozens of mongrels and nomad tribes, who spread peace across our lands. He who ruled with wisdom and kindness and died peacefully in his sleep. That is all you need to know. Well, apparently not. He met his hands at the death of an Iron Fist. This book kind of gave me some inspiration. I've been trying to write comics forever, and I guess this dates myself. I remember seeing back in 2000, I guess that's 12, that Top Cow was doing a talent search, and at the time they were doing some stuff over the artifacts, and I got real big into artifacts. It's actually a pretty good book. The next year they wanted to do a Witchblade or a Darkness version throughout history. The idea that I had was kind of similar to this, and it had a girl who was willing to sacrifice herself to kill the Khan, but was given the Witchblade to do so. And kind of like how the whole Khan's death is wrapped up in mystery, she vanished afterwards and was never seen again. And if you know anything about the artifacts, most of them were passed down throughout history by some means or another. And this Witchblade actually killed Genghis Khan. So I was a bit inspired by this story. As I said, I was a huge Iron Fist fan. This book wasn't that old at the time. So yeah, I kind of got a little love in my heart just for this part of this issue. Now, as for Bei-Ming Tian, he's got a pretty basic design, very classic OG Raiden from Mortal Kombat, which I absolutely love. I could see where Matt Fraction took ideas from Raiden and brought them to this character. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. We do know that movesets, we've talked about Wu Ao Shiari in the past with the Lightning of God. Well, I guess you gotta say it's Raiden-ish now when I think about it. But as I said, sadly enough, this Iron Fist doesn't get his own solo book like a lot of the other characters do, or a story that's spread out through a certain amount of issues, kind of like June Fan. This is it. Most fans probably didn't even know at this time that this little tidbit with Bei-Ming Tian was in this issue of Iron Man. I thought that was a neat little callback for Matt Fraction to kind of tie this up to his Iron Man run, which he was fresh off of, as I said, Mortal Iron Fist at this time. Matt Fraction's listening, maybe one day we will. I would love to see an Immortal Iron Fist Volume 2, but each story is for a Immortal Iron Fist. We know there's 66 of them, and we've not seen nowhere near any of them besides what was in that book. Most of them are lost to time. Who knows if we'll ever get that? I just kind of hope so. But that'll wrap up this episode of the Deadly Podcast, Kung Fu. If you want to keep up with the podcast, please do so on social media accounts, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. If you like my music, check out Rushing Tiger by Kuro over on SoundCloud and YouTube. But most importantly, guys, support your local comic book shops and keep reading comics.